Pull the body out onto the floorboards, put it on the sheet, and then cut it out.
The man who once called himself the murderer of the century tonight starts a life sentence for 6 murders in North London. He once boasted he could have killed 500 people had he not been stopped.
Who's going to be next? Is there any more girls missing? What's going to happen next? Am I going to be next?
Britain has seen its fair share of serial killers, leaving behind a trail of terror and unanswered questions. From the moors to the streets of London, these individuals have left an indelible mark on the nation's psyche. From the calculating Ian Brady to the ruthless Levi Belfield, each story is a chilling reminder that evil can lurk in the most unexpected places. In this video of Britain's darkest past, we'll read the minds of 10 notorious serial killers from the past that still give Britain nightmares. So, let's get started. 1. Jack the Ripper.
I'm hoping to find evidence connecting Holmes, direct evidence to Jack the Ripper in Whitechapel, the killings there.
The original name of Jack the Ripper is unknown, as he was never caught or identified. It is a famous nickname for a mysterious killer who terrorized London's Whitechapel district in 1888. The killer murdered 5 prostitutes and mutilated their bodies in a gruesome manner. The police were baffled by the crimes and thought the killer might be a surgeon, butcher, or someone skilled with a knife. The killer taunted the community and police by sending letters and postcards about their crimes, which added to the fear and panic. Despite many suspects being named over the years, the killer's true identity remains unknown, leaving behind a legacy of horror and intrigue that continues to fascinate and horrify people to this day. 2. Harold Shipman.
If you can stay in the community, receive your treatment in the community, with your family around you, your usual friends, then this all adds to the speed of recovery from the illness.
Harold Shipman, a doctor from England, is thought to have killed around 250 of his patients. He worked in 2 different offices from 1972 to 1998 and was killing people the whole time. He wasn't caught until some people noticed something strange, like an undertaker who thought it was odd that Shipman was involved in so many cremations, mainly of older women who died during the day. The police made mistakes in their investigation, and Shipman kept killing until he tried to fake a will that would make him prosperous, which made the victim's daughter suspicious. He was finally caught and put in prison in 2000, and he killed himself in 2004. 3. Ian Brady.
Now, in the past few minutes, it's been confirmed that the Moors murderer, Ian Brady, has died at the age of 79.
Ian Brady, along with his girlfriend Myra Hindley, committed a series of heinous crimes in the 1960s. Together, they kidnapped, tortured, and murdered 5 children, burying 4 of their bodies on Saddleworth Moor. Their victims included Pauline Reed, John Kilbride, Keith Bennett, Leslie Ann Downey, and Edward Evans. Brady and Hindley's crimes were highly publicized and shocked the nation. They were eventually caught, convicted, and sentenced to life in prison. Brady spent the rest of his life in prison, refusing to reveal the location of his victims' bodies, while Hindley died in jail in 2002. Their crimes remain some of the most infamous in British history. 4. Levi Belfield.
Did you get a kick out of being involved in these sort of inquiries?
No comment.
Do you think it's a macho type of thing to bring it?
No.
Do you think it will help your notoriety?
No comment.
Levi Belfield's reign of terror in London during the early 2000s left a trail of devastation and grief. The serial killer targeted young women, using his charm and good looks to lure them into his car before attacking and killing them. 3 women, Marcia McDonnell, Amelie Delagrange, and Millie Dowler, tragically lost their lives at his hands. Belfield's crimes were marked by their brutality and senselessness, leaving the families of his victims and the wider community shattered. In 2008, he was sentenced to life in prison without parole, with the judge condemning him as a custodian of cruelty who had caused unimaginable suffering. 5. Amelia Dyer. Amelia Dyer was a notorious British serial killer who preyed on vulnerable families in the late 19th century. She posed as a caring mother, offering to adopt babies and young children for a fee. However, her true intentions were sinister. Dyer would murder her young victims, often by strangling or drowning them, and then dispose of their bodies in the River Thames. It's estimated that she killed over 400 children, making her one of the most prolific serial killers in history. In 1896, Dyer was finally caught, convicted, and sentenced to death. Her crimes shocked the nation, leading to reforms in child protection laws and adoption practices. 6. Steve Wright.
Criminologists, retired detectives and the like have suggested Wright could be responsible for.
Steve Wright, notorious as the Suffolk Strangler, perpetrated a 5-month reign of terror in Ipswich, claiming the lives of 5 prostitutes in 2006. His actions instilled widespread fear, prompting police warnings to prostitutes to stay off the streets, and leaving many women hesitant to venture out after dark. Although convicted of 5 murders, Wright has been linked to additional unsolved cases nationwide, albeit without sufficient evidence for further convictions. He is currently serving a whole life sentence at HM Prison Long Larton in Worcestershire, ensuring he will spend the rest of his life behind bars.
Trapped by methodical police work, officers arrested the 49-year-old when DNA found on the last 3 victims matched a sample taken from Wright following his conviction for theft a few years earlier.
7. Peter Sutcliffe.
I thought she was a prostitute at first, walking slowly and that, and looking round. When I hit her on the head, and it didn't knock her out, it was only a stick. And I threw her over a wall and said, "You'll be okay, I'm going," because I realised that she wasn't a prostitute. She seemed fairly young, but I didn't know how young she was. I heard the voice saying, no, it's a mistake. Stop.
Peter Sutcliffe, infamously known as the Yorkshire Ripper, was a serial killer who terrorized northern England in the 1970s. He was convicted of murdering 22 women, although the actual number of victims may be higher. Sutcliffe targeted women, many of whom worked in red light districts, claiming he was on a mission from God to kill prostitutes. However, not all his victims were sex workers. He was sentenced to 20 consecutive life sentences and spent the rest of his life in prison until he died in 2020.
The serial killer, Peter Sutcliffe, known as the Yorkshire Ripper, has died in hospital at the age of 74. He had coronavirus.
Sutcliffe's crimes had a profound impact on the communities he targeted, leaving a legacy of fear and trauma. 8. Fred and Rose West. Fred and Rose West, a married couple, perpetrated heinous crimes together, raping, assaulting, and murdering at least 12 women, with estimates suggesting the accurate victim count may be significantly higher. Tragically, 2 of their victims were their own daughters. The couple buried many of their victims on their property, with Fred West's gruesome practice of mutilating bodies, removing fingers, toes, and kneecaps post-mortem, aiding in the identification of the victims. Fred West was charged with 12 murders but took his own life before the trial.
Frederick West, the Gloucester builder whose home concealed 9 corpses, has been found dead, hanging in his prison cell at Winson Green Jail in Birmingham. He'd been in custody for nearly a year, accused of a total of 12 murders.
I recognise the reporting of the death of Mr. West is a matter of public interest. But the same public interest demands responsible reporting by the media to ensure that the trial of Mrs. West is not prejudiced in any way.
Rose West was convicted of 10 murders and remains incarcerated and is approaching her 70th birthday in November. She has spent nearly 3 decades behind bars since her arrest in April 1994.
But Mrs. West stands to face the charges that she did, the 9 murders that she was charged jointly, and as we've heard, they should go ahead. Now, obviously, the jury will be very interested in what the Crown's case would have been against Frederick West.
Her lengthy imprisonment serves as a testament to the severity of her crimes, which have left an indelible mark on the nation's consciousness. 9. Mary Ann Cotton. Mary Ann Cotton, one of the rare female serial killers in the UK, perpetrated a chilling series of murders between 1865 and 1873. Her victims numbered 21, including 11 of her own children, with only 2 of her 13 offspring surviving her deadly wrath. She also claimed the lives of 3 of her 4 husbands, driven by a calculating desire to collect their life insurance payouts. Cotton's weapon of choice was arsenic, using it to fatally poison all her victims. Ultimately, her heinous crimes led to her execution, marking a grim end to her reign of terror. 10. Dennis Nilsen.
The exciting part of the little conundrum was when I lifted the body, carried it. It was an expression of my power to lift and carry and have control. And the dangling element of limbs was an expression of his passivity.
Yes. So his
these two opposite things. I mean, it was my power and his passivity. The more passive he could be, the more powerful.
Dennis Nilsen, one of Scotland's most infamous serial killers, left a dark mark on British criminal history. He targeted vulnerable boys and young men, brutally murdering them and then engaging in disturbing post-mortem rituals, including conversation and sexual assault. Nilsen's crimes earned him the moniker the Muswell Hill Murderer. Initially convicted of 6 murders and 2 attempted murders in 1983, investigations suggested a higher victim count. Before he died in 2018, Nilsen confessed to 16 murders, leaving behind a legacy of horror and tragedy. So there you have it, 10 notorious serial killers from the past that still give Britain nightmares. Do subscribe to our channel if you like this video, and I'll see you in the next one.